Hello, grade 4. Now, our lesson is symmetrical shapes and line of symmetry, or symmetrical figures and asymmetrical figures and the line of symmetry. What's the meaning of asymmetrical figures? It's mean non-symmetrical figures. Attention with me, let's go. If we have a heart, now I want to fold this heart. Can I see I divided it into halves? When I put this half over this half, what I can see? Now we'll see. Oh, the two halves become on each other, so that this line is called line of symmetry, and this symmetrical shape. If I have a circle, now I want to fold it into parts, the first half and the second half. If I put this half on the half, one half completely cover other half. We will see now. Oh, so that this line is called line of symmetry, and this symmetrical shape, the heart is symmetrical shape, and the circle is symmetrical shape, and this line is called line of symmetry. Okay. If I have a flower, can I fold it to know this symmetrical shape or no? We will see. Now I will fold it now. This flower, I will draw line of symmetry here, and this half I will put it in this half. It completely covers the other half, so that this is symmetrical figures and this line of symmetry. Now, what's the shape? The shape is rectangle. When I fold this rectangle, what I can see? When I fold by a diagonal, what I can see? Now we will see. When I fold this rectangle, this part, on this part, it will be completely cover the first part or not. We will see now. I will fold it. No, mister, it is not completely cover the first part, so that it isn't symmetrical figures. No, you can't say that. You should wait and fold it, but other way. Attention with me. I will fold it, but by other way. Now one half doesn't cover the other half. Now I will do it by another way. Now when I draw line of symmetry here or here, become symmetrical figure. How, mister? You will see now. I will draw line of symmetry. The first part, when I will cover completely the second part, because line of symmetry here divided the rectangle into congruent part. So that When I see one half is completely covering the other half, what I can say, the rectangle have two lines of symmetry, vertical or horizontal. Can I say the diagonal of rectangle is line of symmetry? No, because when I divide the rectangle into parts by diagonal, the first part and the second part can't covering completely each other. So that we can say the symmetrical figures like heart and flower and rectangle. How can I know? I will draw or fold by line, divided it into halves. The first half should covering the second half, or the second half covering the first half. This is line of symmetry here or here. If I draw line of symmetry like this by horizontal way, it become line of symmetry in rectangle. This is line of symmetry and this is a symmetrical shape. Let's go to take another example. This is a butterfly. I want to fold it become symmetrical figures and this is line of symmetry. Okay. This rabbit. When I draw line of symmetry here, the rabbit will be symmetrical figures and this is line of symmetry. Letter A, capital letter A is symmetrical figures. This is symmetrical figures. What is this? This is trapezium, but not any trapezium. This is isosceles trapezium. When I draw line of symmetry here, it will divide the trapezium into halves. The first half and this is the second half. When I fold the second half on the first half, it will completely covering each other, so that this is symmetrical. But when I have any trapezium having this two sides not equal, I can't say this is a symmetrical figures, and we will see now. This is line of symmetry. Okay. Making asymmetrical figures. I want to now to make an star. Attention with me. I will get a paper like this and draw a line of symmetry and fold it, and I will cut a star become two star when I get line of symmetry. This is star is a symmetrical figure. Okay, this is one half and second half completely covering each other, and this is line of symmetry. Okay, mister, what is a symmetrical shape? Now we will know asymmetrical shape. Attention with me. Before knowing a symmetrical shape, we will know how many lines of symmetry of a circle. Attention with me now. line of a circle, line of symmetry of a circle. If I fold a circle vertical, it will be symmetrical figure. And if I draw horizontal line, it will be a symmetrical figure and this line of symmetry. Now the first half will covering completely the second part. Okay, Mr. Circle have only two lines of symmetry? No, we will see. We have infinite number line of symmetry in the circle. We will see now. If I draw vertical line, it will divide the circle with line of symmetry. If I draw line like this or like this or like this or like this, it will be line of symmetry. And the condition to be this line of symmetry, you should passing through the center of the circle. When I draw any line of symmetry on the circle passing through the center of the circle, it will be line of symmetry, so that I can say the circle have infinite line of symmetry. Now we will take asymmetrical figures or non-symmetrical figures. Let's go. This starts when I divide it or fold it, the two parts covering each other completely or not. We will see. If I fold this star and folding it, no, mister, it can't fold it into two halves that can cover each other, so that this shape I called asymmetrical figures or non-symmetrical figures. Okay. Another example is if I have the Q letter, when I fold it, and the J letter, when I fold it, it will cover completely the two halves or not. We will see. When I fold the Q letter and the J letter, not covering completely the second letter. Okay. Now attention with me, grade 4. Now I will take the number of line of symmetry of all figures. Number of line of symmetry of the square and rectangle and rhombus and the circle and isosceles triangle and the equilateral triangle and the scalene triangle and the trapezium and the isosceles trapezium. Attention with me to know number of line of symmetry of each figure of I had tell you. The first figure is the square. The number of line of symmetry is 4. How, mister? If I draw vertical line, it will convert the square to halves. These two halves, when I fold it, become covering completely each other. And the two diagonal of the square, I consider it all of them is line of symmetry. And when I draw horizontal line, I consider it line of symmetry, so that the number of line of symmetry of the square is 4. Attention with me. The line of symmetry of the square is 4 line of symmetry. Now we'll see the rectangle, how many line of symmetry of the rectangle. Now we have take for previous example. When I draw diagonal in the rectangle, these two parts, it will covering completely each other? No, mister, we see it now. So that I can't consider the two diagonal of the rectangle as line of symmetry because the two parts doesn't completely covering each other. So that the diagonal, it isn't line of symmetry of the rectangle. But now I can consider the rectangle when I draw by the other way. We have take now by the other way. When I draw a vertical line of symmetry or horizontal line of symmetry, it converts the rectangle into parts. When I folding it, it will completely covering each other, so that the rectangle have two line of symmetry. The rectangle have two line of symmetry. What's this line of symmetry? Vertical line and horizontal line. So that the rectangle have two line of symmetry. Now we will take the rhombus. When I draw this line, it divided the rhombus into congruent figure, but this when I fold this part on this part, not covering completely each other, so that I can't consider this line, it is line of symmetry. So that, mister, how can I divide the rhombus into symmetrical parts or draw line of symmetry? When I draw it, where I draw it, this not consider the line of symmetry of rhombus, mister. Okay, what I can do, mister, I can't understand. Now, when I draw vertical line, it will be convert the rhombus into parts, and when I folding it become one. The first half on over the second half will covering each other. Okay, mister, this is the first way. What's the second way? When I draw horizontal line and the folding the first half over the second half, it will complete each other, so that the rhombus have two line of symmetry. When he asked me in the complete, the number of line of symmetry of rhombus is 2, mister. Who can tell me the number of symmetry of rectangle? This 2 line, mister. Who can tell me the number of symmetry of the square? This is 4 line of symmetry, mister. Excellent. The second figure or the next figure, the parallelogram. Now, when I draw the diagonal of parallelogram, can I consider it this two triangle or congruent, or the two triangle or the diagonal convert the parallelogram into symmetrical parts? We will see now. When I fold this part over this part, it won't completely covering each other, so that I can't consider the diagonal of the parallelogram as line of symmetry. Okay, mister. What I can do to draw the line of symmetry of parallelogram? Now, when I draw this line, it will convert the parallelogram into congruent, but when I fold this part over this part, it won't covering completely each other. Why, mister? Because this acute angle and this obtuse angle, when I folding these two parts, the acute angle become over the obtuse angle, so that it should have the same angle to completely covering each other by the same shape, so that I can't consider this line of symmetry of a parallelogram. So that, Mr., can I say the number of parallelogram or the number of line of symmetry of a parallelogram is 0? Yes, because when I draw the diagonal of parallelogram or draw this line divided this side into equal side and this into equal side, I can't consider it this is line of symmetry because these two parts won't be completely covering each other. The next example, the equilateral triangle. How many of line of symmetry of equilateral triangle? Equilateral triangle, our student, what's the properties of it? All sides equal in length. All sides equal in length. So that when I draw from this vertex to this base, these two triangles will completely covering each other if I folding it. And this line of symmetry and this line of symmetry, because all of sides are equal, so that I can consider the number of line of symmetry of the equilateral triangle equal 3. Okay, so that what I can say, I will revise now. The number of symmetry of the square are 4. The number of symmetry of a rectangle are 2. The number of symmetry of the rhombus are 2. The number of symmetry of parallelogram 0. The number of symmetry of the equilateral triangle is 3. Okay, how many line of symmetry of an isosceles triangle? We will see now. At the equilateral triangle, it was 3. The isosceles triangle, if I draw line segment from the vertex to the midpoint of this base, this is 2 equal sides. This isosceles triangle, what's the properties of isosceles triangle? It have 2 equal sides and 2 equal angles. So that when I draw line of symmetry here, this side equals this side and this angle equals this angle. When I folding these two parts, it will be covering each other. Mister, can I draw line of symmetry here? No, you can't, because this angle not equal this angle, and this part it won't be completely covering this part. And can I draw line of symmetry here? No, because this angle not this angle. But this angle equal only this angle, so that the number of isosceles, the number of axes of the number of line of symmetry of the isosceles triangle is 1 symmetry. Now let's go the scalene triangle. How many number of symmetry of the scalene triangle? We will see now. If I draw line of symmetry here, it will be line of symmetry or not? No, mister, because this part not covering completely this part. And if I draw line here, this will be line of symmetry? No, mister, because this part become here and it doesn't completely covering the second part. If I draw this line here, this part will completely cover this part? No, mister, because this part become here, not covering completely this part. So that the scalene triangle, the number of lines of the symmetric of the line of symmetry of the scalene triangle become 0. Who can tell me how many shape have 0 line of symmetry? Mister, I know the parallelogram and the scalene triangle. Excellent. How many figures have 2 line of symmetry? Mister, I know the rectangle and rhombus. How many figures have 4 line of symmetry? The square. how many figures has three line of symmetry? The equilateral triangle. Now we'll take the isosceles trapezium. The isosceles trapezium have these two sides equal in length, so that when I draw, we'll return again. When I draw line of symmetry here, become line of symmetry because this angle equals this angle and this angle equals this angle, and when I folding it become completely covering each other, so that the number of symmetry of isosceles trapezium, not only trapezium, I should say to you this isosceles trapezium have only one line of symmetry. Mister, it's look like that the isosceles triangle. Excellent. The isosceles triangle have only one line of symmetry, and the isosceles trapezium have only one line of symmetry. Excellent. What about ordinary trapezium, mister? We will see now the ordinary trapezium. The scalene trapezium or ordinary trapezium, the number of symmetry is 0. It look like scalene isosceles scalene triangle, mister. Yes, this look like scalene triangle and look like trapezium. So that we have three figures have 0 line of symmetry. The trapezia, the scalene trapezium or trapezium only, and scalene triangle and parallelogram. Now we'll take the circle. The number of lines of symmetry of the circle is infinite numbers. Why, mister? When I draw line passing through the center, it will divide the circle into equal parts. And this line, it will divide into equal parts, and this line, and this line, and this line. All any lines I draw passing through the center of the circle become line of symmetry, so that the number of line of symmetry of the circle is infinite number. Attention with me, infinite number. Now, if I have two squares inside each other, this example from school book, page number 57. Attention with me. Square ABCD and square XYZL are two squares. Draw line of symmetry for the two squares. Attention with me. Now I will draw the first line of symmetry of the square XYZL. Attention with me. Mister, you consider the two diagonal of the square as symmetry of the square? Yes, so that I will draw this line of symmetry and this diagonal. Okay, mister, what about the other line of symmetry? I will draw line of symmetry here and the line of symmetry here, so that the line of symmetry of the square, count it, is 4. Let's go. Attention with me. This is the first line of symmetry, the first diagonal of the square XYZL. And this is the second diagonal. I consider it the line of symmetry of the square, and I will divide the side XL and the side YZ by this line of symmetry, and this line of symmetry of the big square ABCD, because this is the diagonal of the big square. I consider the line of symmetry. And I will draw the second diagonal of the square, so that this is the 4 line of symmetry of the square XYZL, and we have 2 line of symmetry of the square ABCD. Mister, now you draw the line of symmetry of the square ABCD either. Why? Because you draw vertical line and horizontal line. Okay, mister. So that when I count the line of symmetry of the square ABCD become 4? Yes, count with me. First, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, mister, but I don't count the line of symmetry of the square XYZL. Count with me. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, mister, so that I can consider the number of symmetry of these two square is 4 or 5 or 6. You will see now. Count with me. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that the number of line of symmetry of these two square with each other is 4 line of symmetry. Now I will revise the content of this video. The number of line of symmetry of the square is 4. The number of line of symmetry of the rectangle and rhombus is 2 line of symmetry. The number of line of symmetry of equilateral triangle is 3 line of symmetry. The number of line of symmetry of isosceles trapezium or isosceles triangle is 1 line of symmetry. The number of line of symmetry of the parallelogram or scalene trapezium or scalene triangle is 0 line of symmetry. If he tell me the number of line of symmetry of trapezium only is 0 either, is 0, 2, is 0, 2. The number of line of symmetry of trapezium or scalene trapezium or parallelogram or scalene triangle is 0 line of symmetry. Finally, the number of line of symmetry of the circle is infinite number of symmetry. The homework page 57 and page 58 at school book. I hope you benefit from me. Thank you, grade 4.